Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to do Jesus codes in the first verse of the Bible. That is the Hebrew Bible, and I have this verse up on the screen right now. So you see it. It has 7 words, and before we're gonna go more into this, we're just gonna take a look at the Hebrew alphabet with the 3 gematria systems of standard in blue and ordinal in orange, and reduced in green. So you just know a bit about that, because in Gematria, letters has a numerical value. So the first thing we have to understand is that the first verse of the Bible in Hebrew, which is the original language which the first verse is written in, this first verse is equals all words added equals 2701. 2701 is 37 times 73. So it's 37 times its mirror. Um, and we see that if we add the words of God, the heaven, and it is equals to the Greek spelling of Jesus in standard, and that becomes 888. So that's probably the biggest code of in Genesis 1:1 regarding Jesus, this code. But there are a lot more great codes really to it. And to make a fluent progression in this, we can go into the letter codes of this verse, and I think I have it. I think I had it. So here we are. Here are the letter codes of the first verse, the same verse we just looked at, and you see the orders of the letters here. This is letter number 1, this is letter number 2, this is the value of letter number 1, and this is the value of letter number 2. It's quite simple. The verse has 28 letters, and you see the 7 words are mentioned here. This is the earth, this is and. Now notice that between the first letter, if you add all letters between the first letter of God to the first letter of and, you will get 888, Jesus. And the same done from the second letter to the second letter of and. So you get God and Jesus. That's some pretty amazing codes I found. But there are more here. But these are the greatest Jesus codes when it comes to the letter combinations. So to continue in this image, to continue further, we have to go back to the words of the first verse instead of the letters. So if you look at the 7 words of this verse, you see the center word is what we call the Aleph and Tav. And that is because the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet is named Aleph, while the last letter is named Tav. And this center word, this word here, is actually just the first and last letters of the Hebrew alphabet? It's because it's a code. It's a code for Jesus, because Jesus says in Revelation, in the book of Revelation, in the start of book of Revelation, that I am the Alpha and Omega. Or maybe not the start, but the first chapter. And when Jesus spoke this, he spoke it in Aramaic. So he didn't say, I am the Alpha Omega. He said, I am the Aleph and Tav. But it got translated into Greek. So they just translated it to Alpha and Omega. Because, yeah, the Alpha and Omega is the first and last letters of the Greek alphabet. And I know I forgot to show the numerical values of the Greek alphabet, so I'm just going to do it right now. I have it on audio video, but it's important because this is the Jesus codes. So here is the Greek alphabet with the standard, ordinal, and reduced values again. So let's go back to the image we looked on before this. So if you notice, if you add all letters from 1 to 23, you will get 5 times Aleph and Tav. And if you take the ordinal value of Aleph and Tav, the two center letters, center words, the center word of this verse, the first and last letters of the Hebrew alphabet, you will get 23. And all letters from 1 to 23 is 5 times Aleph and Tav. And the reason it's 5 times Aleph and Tav is because you find it in the word combinations of this verse. I can show you it on my website, 777codes.com. You just click on the Genesis and 1:1 chapter, and you click on Aleph Tav. And you will see that there are 5 word combinations of Aleph and Tav in this verse. When we count the 7 individual words as a word combination. So the center word is 401. The fifth word plus 6 words equals 2 times 401. The center word plus fifth and sixth words equals 3 times 401. The first word plus fifth word plus seventh word equals 4 times 401. And the center word plus first word plus fifth word plus seventh word equals 5 times 401. That is 5 different word combinations made up of 401 in this verse. The expected rate of this hits 4 times. I mean 16 times the expected rate. Okay? And 16 is the value of pi. I know I connected it wrong here because it shouldn't be codes. It should be pi. I'll show you. If you enter the letter pi, which is the 16th letter of the Greek alphabet, you see it has an ordinal value of 16. And Aleph and Tav, 401. I'll just enter it here. Aleph and Tav has the value of 401, the center word of Genesis 1:1. Like you see here, right? Well, this 401 equals prime number 80, And guess what? 80 is the value of the letter pi. See? 80. Standard value of pi. So pi and Jesus are very connected, and there is a lot of codes to it, but I'm not gonna focus on that there. I'm gonna do that for a video of its own. But you have to understand, pi and Jesus are very connected. I'm just gonna take some water. Okay, so if we add letters from the first letter to the first letter in Aleph and Tav, you get 3 times 401. That's quite incredible. But there are a lot of incredible codes here in the letters. If we count by rotation, by the number of letters in cycles, we will see that letter number 17 is 801, which is the value of Alpha Omega, the first and last letter of Greek. And you see that all letters from Alpha Omega to the first letter in and, the word and, is 401. Aleph Tav. That's I think that is a wonderful code. And not only that, you see this letter instead of letter number 801, it is also by rotation 73. And 22 is the prime order of 73. That is, you can say 73 is prime number 22, as long as you count number 1 as the first prime. And number 1 is the first prime in the Bible codes. There is no way around it. I'm just gonna be straightforward with you. There is no way around it. You can alternatively consider number 2 as first prime, but you're going to destroy a lot of good codes. Anyways, back to the letter combinations here, because that's what we are talking about. Notice that the last letter in the word Aleph and Tav is the letter ordered at 16p. And you see all letters from the last letter in Aleph and Tav to the first letter in and hits 2 times Aleph and Tav. The letter from the letters added from order number 23, which is Aleph and Tav, Aleph Tav in ordinal, from to letter number 24, the letter besides it, which is order number 8 plus 8 plus 8, because 24 is 8 plus 8 plus 8, is Aleph and Tav. Now, from letter number 8 plus 8 plus 8, 24, to letter 16, pi, in ordinal, the letter pi, we get Aleph and Tav plus Alpha Omega. Isn't that incredible? Then I don't know what. That is just, that is, I think I've done a mistake here. Yeah, I've done a mistake for sure. I wonder what it is. So, yeah, okay. So that code is not correct. All right. that is not correct. I have to get that erased. But the rest are correct. I've checked all of them so many times that there's no doubt about that. If you look at no, oh, I almost forgot this one. That's good. If you add all letters from 1 to 14, and that is the first center letter of this verse, we get Alpha and Tau plus Alpha Omega, which equals 1000 plus the value of Son. Of course, it's the Son of God, so I should probably capitalize that Son there, but it's only Son. You only get Son here. And maybe there is a tricky way to connect it to of God, but I haven't checked that too much. I should probably do that. Now look at the spelling of Jesus that equals 888. We see it's also equals to Bible codes and Torah codes and physics because of pi, and it is the earth in full reduced, full ordinal, and full standard. The RR is reversed reduced, reverse ordinal, and reverse standard. This is reverse. Now this is reduced, ordinal, and standard. Okay? And you see the ordinal value of Jesus Christ is equals to Son of God in ordinal plus standard in Hebrew. Because this is in Greek. That's amazing. Period. If you write Jesus and Genesis 1:1 in English reduced, ordinal plus standard, you will get 1000 plus Aleph and Tav. That equals to prime number 3 times prime number 92, and 3 times 92 is equals to triangle number Aleph and Tav in ordinal. Amazing. Now, these are very important codes. Number 37 is a prime factor in the two names of Jesus Christ in Greek. We see Jesus, that equals 888, is 24 times 37, and 24 is 8 plus 8 plus 8. Okay? And Christ equals 40 plus 37. 40 is the value of Bible codes in English reduced. So you get 888 Bible codes. Or you might say lamb. 40 is also the value of lamb. As one of the spellings of lamb in Hebrew. Standard. And the two factors of 24 and 40 added is equals to wisdom in Greek ordinal. And 37 is the value of wisdom in ordinal, and 73 in standard Hebrew. I will show you here. This is how you write wisdom in Hebrew. It's chet, kaf, mem, and hey. Then you have the ordinal value as 37 and standard value as 73. Oh, I think I got the hiccup now. Now, I need to proceed. And so, did you remember that the 7 words of the first verse equals 2001? That is 37 times 73. Well, 37 times 73 is also triangle number 73. And this triangle number can have triangles 37 in the center of it, starting in row number 37 and ending in column number 37. It's very incredible. It's it's wonderful, perfect design that you can't understand how perfect this stuff is until you really went through the probabilities and stuff like that, the nitty-gritty stuff, and that's when you see how much this really shines. But we're not going to go into that now. We are sticking to the Jesus codes, and the concept of center of gravity is seen here. This is how you find a center of gravity in a square, and this is how you find a center of gravity in a circle. It's pretty simple. It's like a blink, right? So when we count this is triangle number 73, like we saw in the previous image. And when we count like this, starting from the top, and 1, 2, 3, we will see that the center of gravity in triangle number 37 is 313, and the center of gravity in triangle number 73 is 1201. And the difference between these center of gravities is, in fact, Jesus. And Jesus is the center of word of verse number 4000 plus Jesus in the Bible. I will show you it right now. So if we go to verse number 4000 plus Jesus in Hebrew Standard, we will see the center word is 888. That is fantastic. That is wonderful. And you might say, but it's a coincidence. Why did you take the plus 4000 there? Why? We can't have a plus 4000. Well, yes, you can, because the plus 400, because the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet is 400. God loves to use the plus method, and he uses plus 400 and plus 800 and plus 500 and plus 1000 and plus 1200 and plus 1400 and plus 1500 and so much plus that you wouldn't even believe it until you see it. Okay? And let's start by seeing it. The total value of verse number 401 in the Bible, and 401 is Aleph and Tav, is equals to 400 plus the center of gravity in triangle number 73. That is 1601, because the center of gravity in triangle number 73 is 1201. Don't believe me? You should really believe me when I'm talking about Bible codes. To the skeptic, behold, verse number 401. The total value of this verse, 1601, which is 400 plus the center of gravity in triangle number 73. And the center of gravity in triangle number 73 is 800 plus Aleph and Tav. Can you believe it? Well, you gotta believe it, because that's the way it is. It's the fact. Big claims or something like that requires big proof, like Carl Sagan almost said. He said something like that. I haven't read that quote in ages by now. And not only that, the total value of verse number prime number 313 plus total value of verse number prime number 1201, which is the center of gravities we are talking about there in these two triangles, is equals to 10,000 plus total value of verse number 888 of the Bible. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am counting number 1 as the first prime, you better get used to it. Because the world of Gematria is a world for itself, and it's a world where I am in home. I mean, this is a world I walk in, and I've been walking in so much that I almost feel it's my world. But it's not my world. It's God's world. It's just that I went so deep into it that I almost started thinking it's my world. But yeah, I have to constantly remind myself that this is God's world. Um, anyway, um, and there's a lot of connections to Pi here. You can go to my website and read a lot deeper. You have a lot of more Jesus codes here, especially here. That one is insane because here I might as well just read them here. Why not? Here I integrate verse number 38 and 888 of the Bible. And you see the total value of those two verses is equals to Jesus in start of 73. That is when you take A equals 73 and B equals 74 and C equals 75. And you write Jesus and you get that. So the total value is 5,000 plus Jesus instead of 10,000 plus Jesus. You see how God operates? He is really magical in his ways. I'm just gonna, or great in his ways, right? But well, I would say magical. It's absolutely magical. The center word of this verse is 8 plus 8 plus 8 with extended digits of these two verses, because here we just integrated these two verses. The letters up to center letters is the total value of verse number 888. So you don't see what the total value is here. You don't see what the number is here. But if you just scope here, you understand, okay, this is 12,435. And I often do this in my holographic images. It's because of space. Okay, I pick instead of making the image look as best as possible, I will pick a bit chaos and like that to make it the best as possible in terms of codes. Because I sacrifice codes for beauty, okay, and symmetry. Call it that. That's how I think. Um, the 4 center letters and so on. It's more codes out. Now I've been babbling a lot here, I feel. So I think I'm just going to try to finish this. No, can I finish this now? No, I can't finish this now. No. So we checked the word combinations of how many times we found the 401 in the word combinations of Genesis 1:1, and we saw there were it had an expected rate of 16 times over the expected rate. Okay, because there were 5 word combinations made up of 401 there. Now let's do the same only with the letters and see what we can find. So these are the letters, 28 letters of the first verse. This is the find possible combinations in all permutations tool. And why won't it copy paste? Yeah, there it worked. No, it was wrong. I mixed these two tools many times because this is the find possible combinations in all permutations, and that is the one you use for the possible word combinations, okay? But you don't use that for the letter combinations. You have to use the paired. It's in paired permutations instead of all permutations there. And that is because when we do the letter combinations, we don't consider all letter combinations. We consider them in paired permutations. That is between two different orders. It's a big difference. So you have to remember that. And this sometimes happens in this page. It overloads and you have to wait. And there we go. Now you can just go in again. And here we go. All right. So there are exactly 378 letter combinations in permutations in verse number 1 of the Bible, in the Hebrew Bible, always Hebrew Bible, when we're talking about verses. So, how many are made up of 401? Well, let's do a search and find out. Because that's why we have the tools. Technology can be a beautiful thing as well as a destructive thing. Anyways, we see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 letter combinations. Now, how do we find or see the expected rate of these that you would expect to see? Well, you have to take the total number of letter combinations here in permutations, which are 378, and divide it by 401, which we are searching and finding Alapendal. We expect to find roughly 1, but we find 10. So it is about 10.5 times over the expected rate. Let me repeat that in case you don't understand this. The expected rate of word combinations in all permutations made up of Aleph and Tav is equals to 0.3. Okay? That's the expected rate, but we find 5 of them. And that is 16 times the expected rate. Or you could say nearly. But it's so close that you could just say 16 times the expected rate. And the number of letter, I have a problem with that word in English. Letter combinations. Not word, but letter combinations this times. Made up of Aleph and Tav in paired permutations and not all combinations is 378 divided by 401. That is roughly 1 combination, but we see 10 of them. So that is 10.5 times the expected rate. That is miraculous. That is designed to a very heavy, a very, very aggressive point, if you ask me, if you can say it like that. That is divinely. That is so good. That is so incredible. It is divine. And that is, the Bible is divinely inspired. But I can tell you this, you don't find such incredible uh, codes in all verses. No, very few. When I talked about with a guy named Richard Emil McGough about this, he had checked for patterns of this for verses that had special probability hits in its word combinations. He didn't check the letter combinations. And if I remember correctly from the conversation, there was, oh, I remember correctly, there was a half a percent of the verses had a pattern in some number where it hits significant probabilities, and that's word combinations in many different numbers. I believe, and I would, with good confidence, uh, expect that he searched not with just 401 and 37, he checked with many numbers. Because, yeah, that is reasonable. So this is the level of incredibleness we are talking about here. A verse that is so incredible that uh, it it couldn't be better, or maybe it could be more perfect, but it is truly perfect. You can't, when we're talking about the Genesis 1:1 codes, we are talking about the verse that is so incredible that it's mind blowing. It you can't understand how deep that verse goes. It feels like infinitely deep because it's encoded in so many levels. We have just gone through a tiny portion, a tiny. We have got what we have seen is nothing. It's nothing compared to what is. So, but these are great codes, and I'm going to show a really great code. Okay, and to understand that code, we have to understand what a ultra calculation is. That is simply the number of letters times the product of letters, and you divide that by the number of words times the product of words. That is what I call a ultra calculation. So you take the first verse, and you take the first word, and you take that and divide that by the ultra calculation of the three first words. The copy pasting is a bit bugged, and you take that ultra calculation and divide that again by the 7 words, so you get 137, and 137 is inverse alpha. Alpha is a constant in physics, like pi, and alpha, the value of the Greek letter alpha is 1, and we are talking about the first verse here, so this is very significant. It couldn't be more significant. Okay? So you start with the reduced. You check the ultra calculation and you see the ultra calculation here is these 3 first digits are the omega constant. The omega constant. Yes, there is something in physics called the omega constant. It's the only thing in physics I can't explain you because I skipped the math classes in school regarding linear algebra, so I'm not fitted to explain it. If you're highly educated, then then you can understand it. If not, I wouldn't even try. But you should check YouTube if you want more information about the omega constant. But the big clue here is it's the omega constant, omega, alpha omega, okay? Omega. It's the last letter in the alpha omega, the Jesus code, first and last. Read Revelation chapter 1 if you are totally clueless. Anyways, this is the three first digits of omega, the omega constant. And it's merged with prime number 137 inverse alpha with the extended digit, okay? Because in prime number 137 is 769, but it's with extended digits, and that is allowed. It's a method of the Bible, and there is nothing to discuss about it. If you want to discuss that, try to leave a comment, and you'll get put in place, okay? Anyway, so it's alpha merged with omega, or inverse alpha merged with omega, or prime number inverse alpha merged with omega, the omega constant. All right, so that is alpha omega, Jesus. That's a code for Jesus. That's three codes in one, okay? That's not two flies in one hit, but three flies or three stones in one catch, okay? Because you got the alpha, you got the omega, and of course, that is the code for Jesus again, okay? So this is welcome to the deepness of the Bible codes. It's very deep, and you better know what you're doing when you go in here, because you're gonna have a really hard time if you're new to this. Anyways, and you want to decode stuff here, good luck. The ordinal, because we just checked the reduce, the ordinal hits the value of Jesus Christ in Greek. Let me show you. So here is the spelling of Jesus Christ. Jesu Christus, I would guess, because I have Greek family, but I'm not Greek. I'm raised in Norway. So I would guess they say Jesus Christus. Anyways, the standard value of Jesus Christ in Greek equals 2,368, and that is what we see in the ultra calculation. That is very, very incredible. In fact, it's Jesus Christ with an extended last digit. All right, and the next two letters, digits, I mean, is 38, which is a code number for 888, ladies and gentlemen. These are very, very, very incredible codes, Jesus codes, because it's in the first verse. And not only that, if you take the total value of the first verse and you remove 37, you will find out it's 3 times 888. I believe that was discovered by John TNG at 5doves.com, but I'm not 100% sure. And if now this was the ordinal and we did the reduced, so you must really wonder what the standard will be. And the standard is nothing else than the two first digits digits is and in Hebrew ordinal, and which we find in the first verse, and then the next digits is the value of alpha with extended first digit and 0 removed, because alpha, inverse alpha, is 1 divided by 137.035555926 is equals to 0.00729 alpha, ladies and gentlemen. So you get, you get in the reduced, you get alpha omega, and in the ordinal, you get Jesus Christ. And in the standard, you get and alpha. I hope you enjoyed the Jesus codes of Genesis 1:1. As I told you, there are more, and you can go to my website and you can just click on Genesis 1:1 and John 1:1 codes. And before I finish, I will show you just how incredible the Aleph and Tav codes are. Okay? So, so when we go to the first verse, we see the center word is Jesus as Aleph and Tav. Now, Aleph and Tav is found in many, many, many verses of the Bible. Like if you go to the total value, its verse is 2701, which is 37 times 73. If you go to verse number 2701, you will see that that Aleph and Tav is seen 2 times in this verse. All right, so Aleph and Tav is spread. And if you check out, if you do a search here on Aleph and Tav, and that search is going to take a lot of time, so I'm not going to wait for it. But you're going to get, you got it fast. Well, okay, that's cool. So you see the number of the total results. It's mentioned 7,366. Okay, that is very special. That is very, very, very special, because if you take Aleph and Tav, the ordinal value, see the first verse of the Bible. See, Aleph and Tav is mentioned 2 times in this verse. Now, if you check this verse in ordinal, you'll see Aleph and Tav has the value of 23. Okay, like I've mentioned before. And you see the total number of mentions is 7,366. And keep your eye on that number and look now, because if you take 23 times its mirror, you get 736. And 7,366 is 736 with an extended digit, ladies and gentlemen. Great Jesus codes. These are great. These are codes that makes my blood pumping. This is wow. This is just very nice, right? But not only that, there is more. Because behold, if you, let's see if I remember this now. If you take the number of verses in the Bible, which is 31,102, and divide it by the number mentions of Aleph and Tav, you didn't get what I really thought you would get. So let's try the opposite. Divide. Yes. You take the number of results and divide it by the number of verses of the Bible, and you get 0.2368. Jesus Christ again. Huh? That is so perfect that it's very hard to really fathom it. But let's see, okay? I'll demonstrate. Let's try to change one of these numbers just by one and see. 700,367 divided by the number of verses. You get the same, okay? Let's try one less. Still the same, okay? So it could work with 1 over or 1 less, okay? But let's try with +2 or -2, okay? No, it's divided. Didn't work. Let's now try with +2, 6378 divided by that. That worked. Let's try with 3. That won't work. No, that didn't work. So if you're a skeptic, you might, you had several numbers that worked in a certain range of, 3, okay? 3 numbers was the range, and it worked. But you see, you gotta remember, it hits 7,366, and that is Aleph and Tav times its mirror. So it's super design. This is so perfect that it couldn't be more perfect. This proves beyond any shadow of doubt that God has inspired the Bible. You can't you can't you can't come around it. He had to inspire the Bible. These Aleph and Tavs that you find 7,366 of in Scripture are all placed deliberately by God. If you've studied the Bible, you see how many times God commands his prophets to do things and to write down things. And he probably commanded them to do a lot of things you don't read about also. So the Bible is divine, and you can't come you can't come to any other conclusion when you check the Bible codes and the probabilities, and or you could say when you check the mathematics of the Bible. Because like John Elias said of 37 times 73.com, the Bible is indeed the largest mathematical document in existence. There is no document that is a larger mathematical document than the Bible. Because all words, all letters, and all verses has a numerical value in the Bible. And it is truly encoded by God. And it is a gift. These codes has many different functions. One of them being it's a gift. Another being it's a proof of God. A third being it's incredible. I believe is there to just be incredible sometimes also. And there is a lot of incredible codes. You have to really study the Bible codes of the Bible to see how incredible it is. And it's fantastic. It's so incredible that I've been studying the verses of the Bible almost 10 years now. And I've sacrificed a lot of my life to that. But when I see what I've achieved, especially the last especially the last year or 2 years, then it was all worth it. So I hope you liked the video, and may God give you understanding to understand these codes. Amen.